Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Corinna Jasienczyk, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. Okay, let's read the August 11th Neepawa Banner and Press edition. There was a manhunt in downtown Neepawa on Sunday, August 6th. In this picture here, there's an RCMP officer at the ready with a rifle in hand. Several blocks in downtown Neepawa had a heavy RCMP presence for a time over the long weekend. The article is by Ian Devereaux. And what began as an attempted traffic stop turned into an intense high-speed chase and manhunt in Neepawa over the long weekend. Initial reports to the Banner and Press suggest that the incident began about 10 kilometers east of Neepawa on Highway 16 in the early afternoon of Sunday, August 6th. Before it all started, patrolling RCMP officers in the area had been advised to keep an eye out for a suspect in an assault, as well as the victim, who may be traveling in a vehicle with the accused. One officer encountered a vehicle with someone who matched the description of the suspect and attempted a traffic stop. When police tried to pull the vehicle over just east of Neepawa, the accused kept driving and triggering a high-speed pursuit. The chase then led both vehicles into the community's downtown area. There, the suspect was forced to flee from the vehicle after driving over police spike strips, which had rendered it inoperable for use. In an incident witnessed by the Banner and Press, a woman was detained at the damaged vehicle, while the driver was not located at the scene. Over the next few hours, there was a police presence seen downtown, with eyewitnesses seeing an officer carrying a rifle at the corner of Main Street East and Mountain Avenue. The Banner and Press contacted the RCMP on Tuesday, August 8th for an update on the situation. Sergeant Dave Taggart of the Spruce Plains RCMP provided details and confirmed that 45-year-old Robert Johnson of Ontario is now in custody and that there's no threat to the public. Johnson was arrested in Brandon on Monday, August 7th. Johnson has been charged with dangerous operation of a motor vehicle, flight from police, forcible confinement, and driving while prohibited. The woman who was arrested at the scene has been released and is facing no charges. Taggart added that a K-9 unit was used to patrol the area during the search and that nearby homeowners and churchgoers were warned to lock themselves inside during the search to ensure their safety. He also clarified that the male subject was not armed. Okay, turning the page, page 2. New building, new name for Minnedosa Church. So in the picture, it's the soon-to-be former Calvary Church in Minnedosa. A new planned building project will include a new name as it will be known as the Valley Life Family Worship Center. And the article is by Ken Waddell. Calvary Church in Minnedosa is excited to host a kickoff event when they will officially announce a new name and retire the name permanently. Pastor Don Dragon said, "We'll launch our new building project with a ceremonial groundbreaking, sign unveiling, speeches, and at the same time, kick off our fundraising efforts for the first time beyond our congregation. This one-hour event on Sunday, August 20th at 11 a.m. will be followed by a light meal, refreshments, photo opportunities, and visiting. Speakers are anticipated to include the Honorable Dan Mazier, MP for Dauphin Swan River, Neepawa, the Honorable Greg Nesbitt, MLA for Riding Mountain, Mr. Ken Cameron, Mayor of Minnedosa, Reverend Randy Wengel of Winnipeg, Reverend Don Dragon, Senior Pastor, Family Life Family Worship Center, and Patrick Van Dorn, Kiera's 3 Engineering, the lead engineer for the building project, who plans to have a computer presentation that includes a walkthrough of the new building. Oh, that would be interesting. Following is Dan Dragon's story and a bit of church history. I was hesitant to come to Minnedosa at first. It took a year and 3 invitations to come pastor at Calvary Church before I accepted the call. I preached my first service on Sunday, May 1st, 1994. My family followed 2 weeks later, and my wife Glenda and I have been here ever since. We fell in love with the people and the beauty of the community. In the early years of ministry at Calvary Church, we started a Friday night children's ministry, which we ran for a number of years. My daughter Robin more recently rebooted our children's program on Wednesdays after school, and we haven't looked back. Kids Jam is going strong, with 50 kids registered this past year. Our 3 daughters were part of a youth group here, growing up. My oldest, Kiera, had a real heart for the youth of this community and became the youth leader in 2008 after returning from college in Australia. Kiera eventually left to pursue a 1-year overseas mission trip, then continued on as a youth pastor in Winnipeg for a number of years. Lorraine Kakzor, who had helped Kiera for 3 years, was promoted to leader when Kiera moved. In the early 2000s, I began to feel this community needed a place for our young people to hang out, and I've been dreaming of a youth drop-in center since then. In November 2013, I checked into metal buildings, but the board and I felt the timing needed to be right. At first, we thought we would put on an addition, but we soon found out that would mean ripping apart the old building and bringing everything up to code. But we still would have had small rooms and a bad layout in the original building. Our vision kept expanding until we arrived at the place where we realized the best thing would be to tear it all down and start fresh with exactly what we need. We realized a fresh new building needed a total shift, so we as a congregation chose a new name to better reflect a refreshed new identity. Our new name was registered with the province in 2020, but the pandemic slowed down the rest of the process to a standstill. But we've come out the other end full speed. We sent out a request for proposals from 6 engineering and architectural firms early this year. All proposals were really good, and after a difficult selection process, the committee made a selection. Our final decision led us to Patrick Van Dorn, Kyra's Engineering of Boissevain, to lead this project. We are excited that on August 20th, we will be unveiling a new sign with our new name, and we'll also have a sod turning ceremony, marking the start of our building project and a launch of the major part of our fundraising. When is a church more than a building? What we are building is for the community. At triple the size, we feel this new, nearly 9,000 square foot facility will provide far more than just a place for young people. It will provide many things for families. For example, a walking track, pickleball, volleyball, basketball courts, and many events like conferences and concerts. We also recognize there's a great need in our area to assist people struggling with addictions and feel this facility will be able to help. There are a few good programs in the area, and down the road we hope to work in partnership with them. What better place than a church to help people with needs? We've had many people asking to provide other programs, but to start, our hearts are with the young people, and that is our initial focus. We could describe the Calvary Church building as a pre-loved building. It was built by Methodist Church members in 1879 and housed them for many years. Then the local Masons group, and in the 1960s, the Calvary Church congregation bought it. This building has served each group well over the years, and many precious memories have been made within its walls and on its grounds. Like most pre-loved things, as lovely and useful as it was, it has seen better days and has gradually deteriorated into a money pit to maintain. At Valley Life Family Worship Center, formerly Calvary Church, we have a passion for kids and teens, and they love being here. Our 2022-23 enrollment for our after-school program hit at 50 kids, and we've run out of room in this old house of worship. Things the kids have told us. Can we have this every day? I look forward to coming to Kids Jam all week long. This is the best part of my whole week. Our vision is for a nearly 9,000 square foot community-focused space for expanded children's and youth after-school and evening programming, adding in a youth drop-in center to provide access to pick up sports of many kinds, after-school homework help, family game days, movie nights, and much more. Hosting concerts and other events, hosting conferences with breakout rooms and a modern spacious kitchen to stage food from, meetings in a spacious multi-purpose room, hosting walking groups on cold winter days with a pot of hot coffee waiting, helping those with addictions to get free, and of course, housing our church congregation. Minnedosa Mayor Ken Cameron has expressed his enthusiasm for our expansion and a desire for the town to partner with us to reach young people and people in need within our area. He said that several town councilors will be able to attend the event. We anticipate all funding to come from a combination of private donations, grants from foundations, and organizations. The Calvary Church, now Valley Life Family Worship Center, traces its beginnings to 1946, when God called a young black female evangelist from Zion Church in Winnipeg to rural Manitoba. Miss Lydia Williams began holding house meetings in Minnedosa, as well as a number of other small communities. A while later, Miss Williams bought a building in Forest, Manitoba, moved it to Minnedosa, just east of the Legion parking lot and the current Calvary Church building, and services began being held there. In the 1960s, the congregation acquired the old Methodist Church building and has worshipped here since. Today, Valley Life is a small congregation with a big dream and a big heart for young people. They are a gray-haired congregation that attracts triple its number in kids and youth. None of the kids are from their congregation. Just Youth began in 2008 and topped out at 22 youth only because of lack of usable space. Kids Jam began in 2010 and in 2023 has hit an enrollment of 50 kids with no signs of slowing down. 2021, Valley Life implemented Plan to Protect policies and procedures for abuse prevention and protection of the vulnerable, including children and senior citizens. On page 3 here, we have looking back. So in 1973, new businesses opening along Highway number 4, and in the picture we have the Neepawa Harrow Works. 125 years ago, on August 10th, 1898, Mequon, all of Section 35 in the township of this place has changed hands this summer. W. Lodge having bought the east half, W. Pring the northwest half, and Alex Halliday the southwest half. The government ditch, which was dug down there last summer, is going to be a great benefit to the southern part of the country. Freeland. Building is being rushed in our part of the country at present. Mr. McFarlane, Mr. Cunningham, Mr. Atwood, and Mr. Whiteman are among those who have erected or are erecting houses. 100 years ago, this is another, we have Fred Walton of Toronto is inspecting the local branch of the Sterling Bank. Well, in Kelwood, Mr. Walton is the guest of Mr. and Mrs. F.C. McConnell and Mr. W.J. McConnell. Machinery is being taken out of the Quaker Oats mill for shipment to Portage la Prairie. They say that the local merchants preferred to sell competitive products. An auto that tried to beat the CNR train to a crossing north of Neepawa on Tuesday didn't quite make the grade. The locomotive caught the hind wheel of the car, ripping the axle off, but the children sitting in the back seat were not disturbed. A chart recently issued by the Canadian Parliamentary Committee on Agricultural Conditions showed that Ford products, leather, and hides are the only things cheaper now than in 1914. But grains, meats, and fish are less than 20, I don't know what PCs is, sorry, 20 PC above. Biggest graft is in fuel and building materials. But practically everything is 50 to 100% higher than in 1914. And now the Ford car at 30 cents a pound is shown to be cheaper than beefsteak. So it is not the tariff-protected manufacturers alone who are fleecing the people. 75 years ago, Thursday, August 12, 1948, a well-known Western pioneer of the Calwood district, Robert Joseph Gilmore, 73, died suddenly August 3rd following a stroke suffered that day. He was the son of the late Mr. and Mrs. H.J. Gilmore and was born at Arthur, Ontario in 1875. The family moved to Glen Smith in 1890, where they farmed extensively. With a memory that can span history over the reigns of at least 5 sovereigns and back to the days in Canada when peril irked from every shadowy ambush, James H. Monington Tuesday became a nonagarian and has now started in his 10th decade. 51 of his 90 years have been spent as a resident of Neepawa, having arrived here in 1897 from the Golden Stream district near Gladstone. For 32 years and up until he retired 12 years ago, he was engineer at the Neepawa power plant. Note, The headline from this excerpt indicated that Monington was a veteran. However, the portion of the article with those details was not legible enough and could not be included. 50 years ago, Thursday, August 9th, 1973, the new veterinary clinic is now taking shape and is expected to be completed in a couple of months. It is one of the 3 new buildings located on Highway 4 at the west end of town. Neepawa Tire Limited is another new enterprise that will soon be open for business. The 3-bay building is still under construction. William Uranic, formerly of the Glenella District, is the proprietor and has been associated with Goodyear Tire Company at Toronto for the past 30 years prior to coming to Neepawa. Neepawa Harrow Works has been in operation for several weeks now, producing a new type of harrows, which is becoming increasingly in demand by farmers over a large part of Manitoba and Saskatchewan. Proprietor Ed Kasprick, inventor of the new harrows, employs several workmen in the manufacturing business. Arden, McCamus Red and White, as it has been known for 44 years and which holds the record as the oldest red and white store in Manitoba, has now changed to the Lucky Dollar sign. Although the sign has changed, the friendly smiles and cheery conversation remain the same. In the past year, they started carrying bread, ice cream, and soft drinks since the cafe closed. The store will still be serviced by West Fair Products, but will receive their supplies from a different warehouse. McCamus General Store has saved the residents in this community many trips to the larger centers by carrying groceries, dry goods, and hardware. The history of the store goes back as far as 1889, when it was under the name of McCamus and Boughton. Then in 1898, H.D. McCamus took over the store on his own. He ran it until his death in 1943. Then his son, J.G. McCamus, ran the store for 25 years. After his passing, his son, Hugh D. McCamus, took over the store in 1968. We wish Hugh and Mabel McCamus as much success under the name of the Lucky Dollar Store as in the past as the Red and White. And then 20 years ago on Monday, August 11th, 2003, 11 descendants of Thomas Young met near Edrons on June 29th to place a plaque on his grave. The Roxy Theatre is having, on August 16th to 17th, they are playing The Sound of Freedom. It's based on the true story of a former government agent turned vigilante who embarks on a dangerous mission to rescue hundreds of children from sex traffickers. It's PG rated. And NACTV has highlights of the week. There's Point Break with Ken Pearson. And then there's a summer multicultural celebration. The full weekly schedule available at nactv.tv listing. Okay. We have some perspectives here. Okay, the comic strip up here, Tundra by Chad Carpenter. I couldn't help but notice you're not wearing a seatbelt. And then we have a piece by Ken Waddell, Not Much to Complain About in Rural Manitoba. If anyone is bored these days, it sure isn't the fault of rural Manitoba. Just a week or two ago, there were 6 country fairs in 6 days. The Ukrainian National Festival was in Dauphin this past weekend. Rocking the Fields was in Minnedosa, and the Manitoba Youth Beef Roundup was in Neepawa. Rivers had their recent homecoming and a golf tournament. Rapid City had a golf tournament, and it seems like there's a golf tournament to go every day at this time of year. Campgrounds are full, and if you want a job, just about every farmer in the country is looking for hired help. Construction sites need workers, and most businesses could use an extra staff person. This weekend and next, the country is full of events. Most of them aren't all that expensive to attend either. It's not so much a matter of what can we do, as it is how do we choose what to do. As I travel around the country, I am struck by how good a lot of facilities are. It's a tough job to keep the parks, fairgrounds, and community halls all looking good. I have noticed lately, though, that a lot of washrooms could sure use a bit more care. I won't point out any in particular, but if you have a park, community place, business, or restaurant, please check the bathroom. I have come across a few that are terrible, most are okay, and some are very well kept. But we owe it to ourselves and our customers to have a look around. In the bluntest of terms, it's a bit annoying when the paper supplies and soap sanitizer have run out. A lot of toilets, well, just let's say they could be cleaned better and at least tighten the seats so they don't buck you off when you sit down. All that upkeep is tough and comes with cost, but it isn't rocket science to keep stuff clean and maintained. I have seen a lot of crops in the past few days and a lot of cattle. The cattle look good, but the pastures need rain. Judging by what farmers say and by drive-by bale counts, it looks like there will be enough feed this year. That said, we have a lot fewer cows in Manitoba than we did 10 years ago. Remember when big round bales came out? People said the large balers and front-end loaders extended the working life of a lot of farmers. But now those extended working lives are coming closer to retirement, and there are simply people willing to do all the hard work attached to the cattle industry. That said, all the 4-H shows across the readership area and the Manitoba Youth Beef Roundup this past weekend in Neepawa certainly bodes well for the future beef producers. As far as the crops are concerned, the farmers say it will be okay, but won't be a bin buster. It's just been too dry, and the wheat and canola aren't filling out like they might have if the rains had come earlier. Everybody take care, have some fun in the sun, and may all your farm workers be safe this fall. There's a lot of food to haul in, and that is hugely important to our region, the country, and the world. And remember, don't complain about the farmers, especially when your mouth is full. The Old Apple Tree by Rita Friesen. In the backyard, shading our home from the morning sun, is an apple tree of unknown age or origin. It was there when I gained title to this property. The first years, it produced an overabundance of apples, the kind that you can eat fresh off the branches or freeze for winter pies or make into juice or jelly. A great tree. Slowly, a disease is ravaging its looks and purpose. Last year, we removed a third of the tree, already dead, and hoped that the disease would slow. This year, it once again blossomed gloriously, and many of those blossoms set. And then the hail came, pounded the exposed tiny apples, and now, one by one, sometimes in groups if the wind is strong, these damaged and scarred apples are falling. The disease continues to spread, despite the care and nurturing provided. This fall, more limbs will be discarded. I have no idea how many, if any, apples we will get to enjoy. I watched all this with dismay, and then selected 2 types of apple trees and planted them to the east of the mature, aging, and dying tree. One young one is a trail crab apple, a nod to the trees of my past. In my childhood, we got to run over to the neighboring farm and pick some of these delicious crabs from the Thiessen farm. I met that same crabapple years later when I married Ed. There was a super productive tree in his garden, and every fall the men would fill an ice cream pail full of the red and yellow beauties, and before they returned from a day's swathing or combining, the bucket was empty. I can only hope to see this tree produce an abundance, enough to share with others. The other tree is Prairie Magic, a cooking and eating apple designed by the senior Mr. Drysdale. This tree bloomed nicely, and because it is a young tree, I removed some of the blossoms and 4 apples set. One has fallen, also victim of the hailstorm, and the others have slight pock marks, so I'm hoping they can mature. It will be years before they provide shade for our home, and if they had not been planted, they never would. I think about the old tree often. It provides cooling shade in any part of a summer's day. It is noble with its scars and dignified in its appearance. I speak to it, comfort it, and provide for it the best I can. It is not envious of the young trees benefiting from its shade, nor is unsharing with the moisture that falls from above. With continued care, it will provide some apples for some years yet. I see me in that tree. I see me as that tree. Having done my best, having provided all that I am capable of providing, I accept the looming limitations. I rejoice in those who follow in my footsteps, never jealous of their youth and potential, and willing to share, to my last breath, with those in need. The old apple tree may live longer. May it live longer, will be missed. Okay, and on page 5 here, more perspectives. We've got Crossing Cultural Boundaries, Faithfully Yours by Neil Stroktion. In my lifetime, I've made 3 interprovincial moves. Move 1 took me from my home province, Alberta, to British Columbia. 4 years later, I moved back to Alberta. That was move 2. Move 3 brought me to Manitoba. So I think I am qualified to talk about the challenges one faces when moving across provincial boundaries. Some challenges, like getting licensed to drive, registering and insuring your car, getting your new healthcare card, etc., are common to all moves. Each province is unique. One must follow specified procedures and beware of the time within which these things must be done. Fortunately, good friends in each community walked me through the process and made sure I completed them on time. The harshest challenge my family and I faced after each move was discovering where we fit in our new communities. We were starting over, settling into new homes on new streets in new towns or cities with new mailing addresses, phone numbers, and postal codes. We had to get to know our new neighbors, settle into new jobs, and do all of this without killing ourselves or another family member in the process. Eventually, I got tired of all the moves and decided to settle in Neepawa, retire and probably expire here. But by then, my first family had decided to move back to Alberta without me. But I have no regrets. I know that this is where I belong. Manitoba is now my home province. So I can understand the dilemma faced by a woman whose story is recorded in the Old Testament book bearing her name. The woman's name is Ruth. She was from one of the towns in ancient Moab. She was no stranger to adversity. While still quite young, perhaps in her mid to late teens, she met a young man from ancient Israel, fell in love with and married him. The marriage didn't last. Her husband died suddenly. No one knows why, but now she had a choice to make. She could go back to her hometown, or she could stay with her widowed mother-in-law and care for her. Ruth's decision is recorded in Ruth 1:16-17. She took her mother-in-law's hand, looked her in the eye, and said, "Where you go, I will go. Where you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried." She was prepared to turn her back on the only way of life she had known and move to a new land with a new religion and new customs. But she was not afraid of the challenges she would face. She believed that God would honor her faithfulness and ensure that she would be cared for after her mother-in-law died. God did precisely that. I experienced culture shock when moving from one province to another. I can't imagine what some of you must have felt when you left your homes and moved half a world away to this community. Give yourself time to adjust to a new way of life. This community has many highly qualified people who will help you make that transition. But I want to share my most precious memory of all those moves. The God in whom I believe, who was faithful to me in one place, was and remains just as faithful today. That is my story, and I hope and pray that it will be yours as well. Okay, and by Pastor Vlad Makieviev from the First Baptist Church, we have "How Can You Remain Calm in the Midst of Chaos and Confusion in This Fallen World?" The Lord Jesus Christ spoke amazing words in the night of his betrayal and arrest to his disciples. John 14:27, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Do not let your heart be troubled, nor let it be fearful." Jesus said those words in the city of Jerusalem in the days of tyrannical rule of the Roman Empire. Jerusalem was not a peaceful place to live by any means. The iron boots of Roman soldiers kept their version of peace. Misery, famine, diseases, bloodshed, there was plenty to keep human hearts scarred and worried. When Jesus said those words in John 14:27, he knew what the coming events would do to his followers. Christians would experience persecution for their faith in Christ. Jesus wanted his followers and people in general to seek peace in him and not in this world. Christ wants us to find our peace in him. Matthew 11:28-29, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." So even though it may look like everything is wrong with our world, you can find a peace of heart and mind that comes with knowing that God of the Bible, to whom you go in prayer, is in control. Your heart and mind are guarded by the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, and you can have such a peace regardless of the situation you might find yourself in this life. Jesus is the Lord. He is your peace if you are already a Christian, or he may become your peace when you repent of your sins and believe in him and his gospel. And there's a little bit more than that if you wanted to go and look it up later. And we have a couple of letters that I'll come back to later if we have time. And Out of Helen's Kitchen by Helen Drysdale. I'm going to read the little section here. It's always kind of interesting. So it's titled Blueberries. Did you know that August is Canada's National Blueberry Month? The blueberry is one of the only foods that is truly naturally blue in color. The pigment that gives blueberries their distinctive color, called anthocyanin, also gives the blueberry its awesome health benefits. Often labeled as superfood, blueberries are high in fiber, contain vitamin C and K, manganese, and antioxidants. Studies say that regularly eating blueberries is associated with better brain function and helps delay age-related cognitive decline. Bring on the blueberries. Both low bush and high bush blueberries are native to North America. Blueberries were well known to the indigenous peoples long before Europeans arrived. They called them starberries because the 5 points of blueberry blossoms make a star shape. They were used for food and medicinal purposes as well as a dye. When I visited the East Coast, I saw wild low bush blueberries growing in fields as well as ditches everywhere. Nova Scotia recognizes the wild blueberry as its official provincial berry, with the town of Oxford being known as the wild blueberry capital of Canada. British Columbia is the largest high bush blueberry growing region in the world, and blueberries are Canada's most exported fruit. Abbotsford is BC's blueberry capital and home to an agricultural industry dominated by Sikhs. Sikh women make up the major source of the blueberry picking labor force in the Fraser Valley. When in BC, it was amazing to see the large fields of blueberries, and I got the pleasure of picking a pail of juicy berries. During summer months, take advantage of the plentiful berries on sale and freeze them for later use. You should only wash blueberries right before you're going to eat them. The berries should be stored in the refrigerator and will keep fresh for up to 10 days. Blueberries taste great and they're good for you, so enjoy. And then there's a couple of recipes in here if you want to check that out. And let's see. Okay, so WCG's Connecting Westman Tour raises $2,947 for the Carberry Area Community Foundation. And there's a picture of the check there with representatives of the Westman Communications Group and the Carberry Area Community Foundation. The Westman Communications Group hosted a charity barbecue event in Carberry on July 27th. All proceeds went to the Carberry Area Community Foundation. After a match donation from WCG, the event amassed $2,947. The 2023 Connecting Westman Tour will continue with one more stop in St. Claude on August 24th. And on page 7, we have an advertising for the Calwood Fair on August 19th and 20th. We have some pictures here. The Calwood Agricultural Fair and Harvest Sun Music Fest is an annual celebration that features a variety of fun, including the mountain market, quilt show, horse and cattle shows, and parade. The Harvest Sun Music Fest is a favorite for music enthusiasts. The Dwayne Crandall Memorial Garden is located at the Calwood Fire Hall. And when visiting Calwood, be sure to check out as well the stunning Calwood Arboretum Garden located right next door. So that's on August 19th and 20th. The Agricultural Fair has pancake breakfast as well. And then the Calwood Fire Department, they have their annual barbecue fundraiser on August 12th from 10 to 2 at the Calwood Fire Hall. And then in the middle spread here, we have the Minnedosa Fun Fest events page. It's on from August 18th, Friday, to Sunday, August 20th. And over on the left here, we have some pictures from last year. Manitoba Fun Fest features a wide variety of activities across the community. From August 18th, Sunday, August 20th, last year's events included a street market and horse and carriage rides. This year, festivities such as the Kids Zone, Fun Zone, Paint Party, and Car Show will likely be just some of the family favorites. And there is a schedule here in the paper. And some of the businesses that are supporting it, they'd like you to visit them, are on the right-hand side here. And then for the 65th wedding anniversary here, Reverend Alvin and Jean Borchardt are inviting family and friends to help celebrate their 65th wedding anniversary on Sunday, August 20th from 2 to 4 p.m. in the activity room at Country Meadows with a come and go tea. They say no gifts please, just the pleasure of your company. Then we get into some of the sports here. We have some local athletes that shine in Dual Provincial track meet. By Eon Devereaux, it was a very good weekend for Westman athletes recently at the Dual Provincial Track and Field Championships in Regina. There were 11 competitors from the region selected for Team Manitoba. And the rural Westman athletes ended up bringing home several podium finishes, including the following local participants. So our local participants were Regan Winters, Corinna Kuznikova, Svenja Bjarnson, Regan Tikro, Jillian Parrott, Cheyenne Cox, and Jet Turner. And they're pictured in those pictures there and some of the events that they took place in. On August 25th and 26th is the White Mud Music Festival in Lansdowne Centennial Park in Arden. The Neepawa Titans want this to be a season the fans remember. The article is by Ian Devereaux. This upcoming season will be one of the most important in the long storied history of the Neepawa Titans Junior A Hockey Club. With the team celebrating its 35th season in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League, Titans head coach and general manager Ken Pearson said the level of talent that is returning this year to the roster should make it a breakout year out on the ice. And he says, "We're really excited. Our roster depth is going to be really great. We're going to be starting the season with 2 healthy goaltenders, with Mason Lowbro and Casey Kukiak. And as well, we'll have 7 of 8 defensemen that'll be able to play every single night. Overall, we're real happy." Now, that's not to say, however, that there are not a few questions to answer going into training camp. One of the biggest could revolve around Briley Wood. After the MJHL season concluded for the Titans, the 20-year-old from Rivers joined the Winnipeg Ice in their postseason push in WHL. In 19 playoff games, Wood had 4 points, etc. That performance, along with his stint at the Colorado Avalanche Prospects Camp, could warrant a much closer look at Wood during the training camp of the Wenatchee Wild, the now former Winnipeg Ice, who relocated during the offseason. Pearson said that uncertainty is just something they'll deal with. There's a couple of questions with our older guys as to whether they'll be back or not. Obviously, the success that Briley Wood had at the end of the year and going to Colorado's camp is something that will just be a wait and see, noted Pearson. Obviously, we would love to get him back, but if we don't, it'll be a huge hole to fill. But it also means we did our job here and was able to move one of our guys onto the next level. Either way, I think we have a good group of guys coming back. Everyone is excited and looking forward to getting back here. Pearson said he's going into next season feeling as though Neepawa will be able to be consistently competitive within the Western District. Editor's note, each team in the Western Hockey League can only suit up 3 20-year-old as opposed to the Manitoba Junior Hockey League, which can allow up to 8. Neepawa Titans board members, there will be a notable change to the Neepawa Titans board as Ward Susky has stepped down from the position after serving for a year. A new president will be appointed in the near future. As for the 2023-2024 Neepawa Titans board, it will consist of 3 new members, Lance Nugent, Sean McIntosh, and Owen Carr. As well, returning board members will include Jamie Denbo, Deborah Kasprick, Rob James, Ken Waddell, Shayna Rempel, Tom Yando, Anthony Machan, and Tammy Dudenhofer. I'm just going to grab a quick drink of water here. Okay, Danielle Bell wins the NGCC 2023 Senior Ladies event. Danielle Bell overcame a tough combo of a challenging course and some sweltering weather conditions to win the Neepawa Golf and Country Club's Senior Ladies Tournament. So her points were 80, and then the person following her had 85. Oh, that was a championship flight. All right, and moving on to the next one, just 1 win away, Plumas Pirates lead Santa Clara final 2-0. The Plumas Pirates are just 1 win away from ending an over 2-decade drought in the Santa Clara Baseball League. Heading into Game 3 of their SCBL Finals Series versus the Minnedosa Mavericks, Plumas holds a 2-0 lead. A third win in the remaining 3 potential games of the best-of-5 scheduled series will earn the Pirates their first league title since 2000. And the rest of the article can be read online or by picking up the newspaper. And in the obituary section, there was 2 people that have passed away. William Bill Clausen passed away suddenly on Monday, July 24th at the age of 75 years. We have also Doreen Montgomery. It is with deep sadness that we announce the passing at the age of 93 of Doreen Montgomery, nee Baker, beloved wife of Mervyn Montgomery, on July 14th in Calgary, Alberta. Both were longtime residents of Neepawa. And the right-hand side here, we have a picture of the Manitoba Youth Beef Roundup that was held in the August long weekend in Neepawa. A thumbs up, thumbs down here. A thumbs up to the town of Neepawa. The pickleball courts are amazing. Thank you so much for making this happen for our community. And that was put in by Kathy Ford and the grandchildren. There was the family barbecue in Neepawa on August 1st in the evening. It was held at the Arts Forward Cultural Center, though it was originally scheduled for the Riverbend Park, but due to inclement weather, it had been moved. Now we're going to go back and read the other 2 letters. Guess it would have helped if I remembered where they were. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we're in the letter section now, and we have one by Faye Erickson of Carberry, Neepawa. Less talk, more action. This person is writing and saying, I agree with Beth Proven and Rob Bjornsen and Mr. Waddell about anything that local residents say regarding the junction of Highway 5 and 1. It has been a problem since I was a teenager 60 years ago, and still all government has seen fit to do is increase speed limits with little regard for safety. There's always lots of talk but little action. They do the same with healthcare. Lots of talk and adding money but little action. Years ago, they spent millions to build huge healthcare administration buildings in big centers, but neglected to also fund training facilities for our healthcare professionals, although they were well aware that the time would come when our increased population would require them. I know of would-be doctors that traveled to distant countries to train as doctors because they weren't accepted here, even though they had highly acceptable marks to train as doctors. Then the pandemic hit, and our doctors and nurses were overworked and suffered from burnout as a result of there not being enough to handle it all. Look at what our local government bodies accomplished by going to their local residents and getting their input and help to accomplish many things like rinks, swimming pools, and many other amenities we wouldn't have otherwise. Canada is a big country, but is slowly moving away from our Constitution, which was once upon a time based on the one true living God, Father of Lord and Jesus Christ. Okay, and then falling on deaf ears. Okay, that one's continued later. That was written by Rob Bjornsen of Carberry. And this is what this person says. Rob says, 3 articles in the July 21st edition of the Banner and Press were spot on. Many hundreds more would add their support to Beth Proven's statements regarding the tragic consequences of the Manitoba Department of Transportation and Infrastructure's heel-dragging on badly needed safety improvements to the intersection at Highways 5 and 1. Mr. Waddell's point about the muddled bureaucracy and lack of common sense by the heavy thinkers of the Department of Highways is well taken and sadly not new. His subsequent editorial in the July 28th Banner and Press really brings this point home, along with a great deal of frustration. It is interesting that there was an article from Manitoba Public Insurance lamenting the negative impact of speeding and the high rate of speeding among a good percentage of motorists. So what did the Manitoba Department of Transportation and Infrastructure do in several cases to address safety? Nothing, or made moves that increased the risks to motorists. They increased the speeds on the Trans-Canada to 110 kilometers per hour. Now your habitual speeders drive up to 118 kilometers per hour without a worry of getting a ticket. They didn't immediately put in an 80 kilometer per hour zone at the Carberry intersection or post a speed fines doubled sign after the horrific accident in June. Both very cheap, meaningful actions from a safety and a we hear you perspective. Another example that makes no sense is when they rejected several years ago a request by the town of Carberry to have a reduced speed zone on Highway 5 on the east side of town, where several roads out of town intersect said highway. It doesn't take a genius to see that reducing the speed on this stretch of road until after McCain Foods and the starch plant make good safety sense. As Mr. Waddell points out, who knows better than local residents and representatives what changes are required to improve safety? Road users from any community can tell you where change is required to increase safety. The best we get is vague promises and dismissive correspondence about studying the situation. Isn't it Manitoba Department of Transportation Infrastructure's mandate to make our roads as safe as possible? Wouldn't it be nice if they showed the expedient concern that these life and death issues deserve? I wonder if they will get rid of the piano that is dragging them down and stop lamely citing regulations, since another serious accident had happened at Highways 5 and 1 on Monday, July 31st. And then there's a correction. In the August 4th edition of the Banner and Press, the article Sharing and Celebrating Culture Through Dance, the Yiddish School of Ukrainian Dance, was identified as being established in Winnipeg, when in fact it was formed and based out of Brandon. The Banner and Press apologized for the error. Okay, that kind of, I think, wraps up most of the written portions of the paper. Let's see if there's something else in here we can talk about or read. Of course, NACTV bingo is on every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. and we now have one jackpot that's over 16,000. Let's see. I could read you the recipes. What else? Calwood Fair, the Minnedosa one we went through already. I could read you some of the events, I guess, that are taking place at the Minnedosa Fun Fest from August 18th to 20th. On Friday, we have the Gold Leaf Boutique Kids Bike Decorating. There's a kids parade, kids fun zone, Inspire Studio, a fine art paint party, a barbecue at lunch. Oh, discover Synovus Energy Minnedosa ethanol plant, open house for the community from 1 to 3:30 p.m. Movie at the 50 Plus Center. It's a $5 admission. There's Glow Bowling, Minnedosa Bowl. There's a farmer's market from 5 to 7 p.m. Legion Meat Draw and Chase the Ace. Minnedosa Golf and Country Club's Fun Fest Golf Tournament. Minnedosa Tourism Movie in the Park, Super Mario Brothers movie at Tanner's Park. It's free. Then on August, we begin the day with a Lion's Cake pancake breakfast. Then there's a street market. Minnedosa UCT barbecue. The Inspire Studio Fine Paint Party. 50 Plus Center popcorn and water sale. There's a Fun Fest parade. Free Family Fun Zone. Synovus Energy's family activities in the park. Valley Cruisers Car Show. Minnedosa United Church Luncheon. There's a barbecue at the Minnedosa Covenant Church. The Regional Library book sale in Minnedosa. Westman Communication Group's Ferguson Ranch horse-drawn wagon rides. Fun Fest Beer Gardens. Family Fun Bowling. Valley Life Beginnings Touch a Truck. Pie in the Eye Fun Fest edition of the street market. Then Fun Fest barbecue supper. Beer gardens. There's bingo at Minnedosa Legion. And Minnedosa Senior Bombers Fun Fest social. And on Sunday, there's a brunch. The Calvary Church's groundbreaking and new name launch with refreshments to follow will be on that Sunday. Heritage Days at the Heritage Village. And Gold Leaf Events Fun Fest Baking Contest to wrap up the Minnedosa Fun Fest. Let's see, what else might you be interested in that I could read that I haven't? Do. Okay, well. Oh no, I've got even more than. Okay. There's a Buy the Beef Bull sale on December 11th at the Neepawa Ag Complex. Wow, that's advertising far ahead. Oh, what's this ad down here at the bottom? Warbird flight experience. Fly in a World War II training aircraft. August 27th, 10 to 4. The Commonwealth Air Training Plan Museum. Call to book a flight, 204-727-2444. And pretty much covered those pages. Okay, how about these recipes here? The blueberry crumb bars. They're easy to make, great for dessert or breakfast. The bar can be easily prepared with fresh or frozen blueberries. The crumble mixture is flour, old-fashioned oats, brown sugar, salt, cinnamon, and butter. The filling consists of white sugar, cornstarch, blueberries, and lemon juice. Preheat the oven to 350. Lightly spray a 9 by 9 inch pan. Set aside in the bowl. You mix the flour, oatmeal, brown sugar, and salt together. Use a fork or pastry cutter to blend in the butter. You can use a food processor and pulse until combined and resembles coarse crumbs. Divide the mixture in half and press half into the bottom of the prepared pan to form the crust. Set remaining crumbs aside. In the filling would be in a large bowl. Mix together the sugar and cornstarch. Add in the blueberries and coat in the sugar mixture. Add in the lemon juice and stir to combine. Spread the blueberries on top of the crust. Finally, spread the remaining crumb mixture on top of the blueberries and press lightly. Bake for 35 to 40 minutes until the fruit starts to bubble and the top is golden brown. Cool completely before cutting into squares. And then a blueberry sauce for pancakes or ice cream. 1/4 cup sugar, tablespoon of cornstarch, 1/2 cup of water, and 2 cups of blueberries, fresh or frozen. In a pot, you will combine the sugar and cornstarch, gradually stir in water, add the blueberries, bring to a boil over medium heat, lower heat, stirring occasionally, gently simmer for several minutes, serve warm or cold over French toast, pancakes, waffles, or ice cream, or I guess whatever else you can think of. Again, the Fun in the Harvest Sun and Calwood Fair on August 19th and 20th. And what are they having? Let's see. This Music Fest features Al Simmons, Ego Spank, Shotgun Jimmy, Fontaine, Rain Hamilton, Madeline Roger, Quentin Blair, the Vince Tones, the Stanley Country Cut-Ups, Longshot, Carly Brodeur, Deandra Day, Alana Lewandowski, Mediatrix, Rick Neufeld, Ian Porteous, Rob Waddell, Marcel Desalette, Katie McDonald, and James Colton. Tickets are on sale now at harvestsunmusicfest.com. The Agricultural Fair on August 19th. There'll be a horse show, cattle show, silent auction, garden school work exhibitions, small animal display, the Andy Aucoin Memorial Show and Shine from 11 to 3. Pancake breakfast. They have a canteen. There'll be a parade at 10. Supper at Cafe 37 is 5 to 7 p.m. Pie baking contest, and then the pie auction. Mountain General Harvest Sun Music Fest, August 18th and 19th. The Barn, Highway 5. Okay, some of the different places that are advertising in Minnedosa are Four Seasons and Repair, Boyd Trucking, HWM Construction, Dari Isle Drive-Ins, Smash Burgers and Ice Cream, the Minnedosa Golf and Country Club, Minnedosa Pharmacy, Sharon's Diner, and then Minnedosa itself, which is advertising what they have available here in Minnedosa. The Provincial 5 Bloom winner for Communities in Bloom, Scenic 18-hole golf course, Lakeside 170 site campground, large beach, nature trails, world-class paddling and rowing lake, Bison Compound, Heritage Village Museum. Blazers, Co-op, Minnedosa Inn, the RM. It says welcome to Minnedosa as well. Uncle Tom's Burgers, Sunrise Credit Union. And an ad in here from the media. When social media blocks your access to the news, turn to your local newspaper. And that's what we're in, our local newspaper today. Okay. Some of the ads on this page. We've got Offbeat in Antiques in Carberry. Angela Wilson is accepting new clients in Neepawa. Dr. Gerard Murray is a optometrist in Neepawa here. We have that August 25th and 26th White Mud Music Festival. On the right hand side, we've got Neepawa Tax and Bookkeeping, Jury Electric, and optometrists Dr. Ashcroft and Dr. Vander Hayden and Dr. Mills in Dauphin. They're accepting new patients. Hey, this golf. I don't know if somebody knows about golf. I'll just read this. I don't know too much about golf. I'm just going to read the championship flight one, but they have a second flight and a third flight. So the championship flight one, Danielle Bell had 80. Shauna Danieluk was 85. Jane Troop at 89. And Trudy Adamson at 90 for that Neepawa Golf and Country Club Senior Ladies Tournament. And Municipality of McCreary is having a tender for sewer line repairs. Let's read this one. Neepawa Banner and Press offers full research and reprint services from the archives that go back to 1896. Additional copies of papers are $2 each, depending on availability. Reprint of a page from the past copies is $2 per page. Archival research, $25 per hour with a $10 minimum. Individual photos on photo paper is $5, depending if they have a suitable original in their digital print or photo archives. Contact the banner for that, the Neepawa banner. And I'm not sure what else to read here. Okay, I got a signal, but I don't know what it means. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Services guide. We have a services guide here. So some of the services that are, there's Bernie Builders. They build on-site homes, cottages, lakeside septic service, potable water delivery, TAC Ventures, garbage bin rentals. They buy scrap. Steve Friesen for wood, Isan. Ready Mix Concrete, Comfort Electric, John's Electric, Rolling Acres Ready Mix, Rempel Backhoe and Gravel, Tri-Day J Industries, Firewood and Lumber, E&K Kostenchuk, Trenching, Excavating, Landscaping, P. Baker, Trenching, Ditching, Water and Sewer, same idea there. I'll maybe read the full caption for this picture here on the right. More than cattle were on hand at the annual Manitoba Youth Beef Roundup at Neepawa on August 4th to the 6th. Sierra McCole from Red Rivers, Saskatchewan, was trying to pick a pup to become her cattle dog. Although from Saskatchewan, Sierra's parents both hail from western Manitoba, Elkhorn and Decker. She and her siblings were enjoying their first roundup in Neepawa. Well, unless somebody wants to hear me reread some of the news here. Okay. I can cut? Okay, they're telling me I can end it. Thank you, thank you. Okay, I'll just read one last little thing on the back here. The Cerebral Palsy Manitoba thanks Westman for their generous support. And on that note, thank you for joining me in reading the news for the Neepawa Banner Press August 11th edition.